Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the American Dream Amusement Park, and episode 3 already, and I am more than happy with how this episode turned out. This is awesome. I am so excited to show you what we've done. It is really fun. Basically, we finished up what I am now calling the American Midway. We started building that last episode with the Ferris wheel, and then we also did like a little seating area and a coffee shop. We didn't do as much in that episode as we did in this episode. As you can see, we're already off to the races building a large cafe, or like a large eating building. This is inspired by Captain Rivy's Riverboat Cafe at Six Flags New England. Trust me, right now it doesn't look like it is, but trust me, you'll see the inspiration soon. Here we are just making another corrugated roof because I just love making corrugated roofs in this game. It is like so freaking awesome. Custom roofs are amazing. But yeah, this whole episode we do so much. We basically finish up the Midway, or at least get it pretty close to finish. I still think I need to add another ride or two, but you'll see what we end up doing because, as you can probably tell by the thumbnail, we add a roller coaster, a classic American aero looping roller coaster. I do not build it. It is off the workshop. It is actually from, I actually have the name written down, from Ollie35. I do want to give credit. I know no one watches these videos, but just in case, Ollie35, comes by and, wonders why I didn't give him credit, there's your credit. He built an amazing aero looper. It's actually the aero loop corkscrew model. You can find one at Six Flags Great Escape. I know I keep mentioning Six Flags Great Escape. They have the same exact model. His actually on the workshop is like based on that one specifically at Six Flags Great Escape. It's called Steam and Demon. Horrible ride. It's awful. But it's a good classic aero looper. It's head banging and it's really fun. So. Doesn't mean I want to ride it, but it is a good time. But yeah, so here we are. We're kind of just finishing up this the roof now. We're now building kind of the outer part, if that makes sense. So if you look at one of these buildings, if you look at Rivy's at Six Flags New England, which again this is based off of, then you'll see that there is basically like this big cover. And although Rivy's is underneath one big roof, there's not like this separated kind of thing, with it. I do like the look of it. I think it looks really nice how there's just kind of this big awning, this big roof, and it's going to be called American Midway Food and Beverage. That's going to be the name of the big cafe here, and I guess this would be built with the park. This would have opened up with the park. You can tell because I'm using these red poles, and I feel like in a lot of like older builds that were built like a long time ago, they just have like these red metal columns. They're usually red, like they're usually red. These red metal columns just kind of supporting buildings. So that's kind of what I was going for. And as you can see, we're just putting in a bunch of different food options here. Basically, the idea of this is that it would be like one big kitchen in the back that would all share a space, but they just produce a couple of different options of food that you can go up and get. Here I am just stalling. I don't know. I don't even know what that was. I probably went upstairs to like get soda or something. But yeah, this whole episode was kind of done over a couple of different days, actually, over the past 2 days. So yeah, it's actually like a lot of gameplay being kind of shoved into this one episode. That's why it is a little bit longer than our typical episodes. Here I am just kind of putting some windows. Oh my gosh, I just realized I completely forgot to put a door there. Damn. Alright, well, that's the next episode. And now here we are making a sign for the American Midway Food and Beverage. I immediately realized that the circle is not going to work, so we end up doing more of this traditional box-like logo. And of course, I actually think this sign turned out extremely well, and I end up using a lot of like the design language in this sign with another sign that we build for the American Aero coaster. I don't know why I keep saying American Aero. It's aerodynamics. I'm so sorry for any coaster people. Don't come at me. I apologize. But yeah, so here we are. I do want to call it American Midway Bistro, but in my head I'm just like, that's just, they wouldn't do that. They would not do that. So I immediately changed it to American Midway Food and Beverage, and I put it in the signs, like on the end, I kind of indent it, and man, I think it looks really good. It actually came out really nice. We just put 2 of them up, and I think they turned out beautiful. It looks amazing right there. And then here we go. We're just going to be putting in our picnic tables. This is obviously where people are going to come and sit down and eat. So again, that's kind of like the idea, is that it's like this massive place just to get food and to have, to basically just house a lot of people. Instead of having a bunch of small individual buildings for food, the park decided to save a little money, just have one big dining hall. And I think it honestly looks really, really nice. It came out really, really well. I'm kind of just extending that seating area. Again, the idea of this is just, it's a massive place just to seat a ton of people. But yeah, here we are putting in another ride. And this is going to literally be called the Swings. It is going to be called the Swings. I contemplated calling it the Swinger, but then eventually just decided against it. So, but here it is. I actually end up thinking this looks really, really nice. So this is again, it's part of the American Midway. So the American Midway would start at the bottom of the village that we built in the first episode. It would be to the right of that, to the right of the carousel, and then it's going to go all the way up to the top of this hill. Essentially, that's where the American Midway would start and end. We're going to make it a little bit more clear later on in the episode. We end up putting a bunch of these like flag poles up, and honestly, they look really, really nice. And I think the whole area just looks really, really good. It's super, super classic Americana, and that's essentially what this park would have opened with, essentially. I don't think this park, would have stretched much outside of that. So again, because we have, the Woody in the back is going to be called, I'm pretty sure it's going to be called American Thunder. Again, things are subject to change, don't get me wrong. But we're most likely going to be calling it American Thunder. And yeah, so I'm so sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Here I am kind of just playing around with the terrain a little bit. Because again, we end up actually putting up a sky ride here, because I do want a sky ride to go across the whole park. I think that would, it's a very, very classic, amusement park to have a sky ride there. Although, it is gondolas and not a chairlift. This park would definitely have a chairlift with its budget and everything. They would not, it would have probably been like a really old chairlift too. Here I am just kind of editing the queue line, for the swing ride. As you can see, we built like this big retaining wall too that the swing ride sits on, and I think it came out really, really nice. It looks amazing. Here I am just kind of messing around with the terrain, because this is going to be the next episode we're going to be building over here. I do place a ride down over here, but yeah, we don't really do much in that area. We continue going up the hill, so here I am just placing down a couple of trees. Again, this is going to be a very, very shaded, very, very wooded park. So, again, trees galore, trees everywhere. And then here I am kind of with this messy foliage. I wanted to try to emphasize, like, it's very messy where they don't want it to be neat, if that makes sense. Like, the places where they don't put flowers, like, it gets overgrown a little bit. It's, it's not very well kept, essentially. Not that the park, isn't beautiful, and that, the workers here don't care about the park. It's just, nature gets in the way, especially when you have a park like this with so many trees and so much, like, nature itself. Like, it's going to be hard to maintain at some point, And this would definitely be like a mid-level park, probably doing under 1 million visitors a year. It would not even do over 1 million. It'd probably be maybe like 800,000 guests a year. So like the budget itself would definitely be a little bit more cost effective. They wouldn't spend the extra capital to trim down a couple bushes, if it's just there. Here I am putting a big umbrella. It's green. I like it how it's green, because the umbrella wouldn't have opened up. Like, the park wouldn't have opened up with the umbrella there. That would have been like a much later addition, just being like, maybe we should put some shade here, and they do. So here I am making the sign. I initially call it the Swinger, but I decide against that for so many reasons, and we call it the Swings. So it is a very, very generic name. I don't think you could get more basic than that, actually. But yeah, it ends up working out, and then we just put some posts on the back. It's a very like traditional sign. Changing up, adding some more of that stamped concrete pathway. So I absolutely love like the idea of some asphalt where they said like, hey, we can't take care of this stamped concrete anymore. It's getting too cracked and too rough. We can't do it. and so they just pave over it. And I like the idea of that. So again, we have like some small sections of stamped concrete, but for the most part, it is going to be asphalt throughout the entirety of the park. So I think that's just very, very realistic. But yeah, here I am I don't know how I feel about the chains in the line. They're just too thick. The chains, even though you can scale them down, they're still just way too big. Here I am, just absolutely figuring out what to do with this empty space. So there is like nothing here, and I feel like there just should be something. And then I try to avoid doing something there by doing more foliage, which I think is funny. I kind of just push it off and just wonder like, what am I gonna do there? So here I am, kind of just doing this. This whole area, like that whole section, is going to get done in the next episode. That's going to be my main focus. Next episode will probably be a smaller episode. Here I am, testing the swing ride and realizing that every single tree hits the riders as they're going by, so I had to move some of those to the side. Just kind of finishing up the swing ride. I think it looks beautiful. It came out really, really nice. I love how it's just kind of sitting up on the hill like that. Again, the terrain in this park, that's a big thing that I want to do. That's something that I'm not really that great at, and I want to get better at in the game. So I'm making it kind of an emphasis to do a little bit more of terrain work. Not to say like there's not gonna, I'm not gonna have like these full-on hills, but here I am just kind of trying to figure out a centerpiece, and I end up doing these 3 gears. I don't know. It's, when you think like, I don't know, it's something like an older woman would have in their garden, like that's kind of like what this, like a middle-aged woman would have like in a garden. And honestly, it kind of works there, But here I am. This is where we're kind of defining where the American Midway is. So this would have opened up as the American Midway in 1968 when the park opened, and it would have probably opened up. You'll see. I'll kind of tell you like where it ended. But here I am making a custom pole because I actually love this. It's such a little detail that I feel like so many people don't do in Planet Coaster, and it's like these signs. And I think they just look amazing. So this way, you can go to the village, and then the other way you're going to be going to, of course, the American Midway. And the arrows are kind of pointing like in that direction to kind of just like show like where to go. So, but yeah, it ends up working out really nice, and it looks really, really good. You'll see it more in the real-time portion. Again, everything is just so fast right now. And if it is too fast, let me know down in the comments. I have been getting some feedback. Someone commented saying like the video color is so washed, and honestly, I don't know how to fix that. I should honestly, if I just looked it up, I'd probably figure it out. Here I am putting in a ride for next episode, so don't pay attention to that. I'm kidding. I don't care. It's a slide ride. We're gonna be putting that in. But again, so this is like the next day now. This is like the next morning. I remember building this, just waking up and coming downstairs and just hopping on Planko and building this because that's my life right now. And we're building a bathroom because you can never have too many restrooms in a game. Sorry, not in a game, in a theme park. So here we are, I'm just toying around with like what to do for the style, but I end up just going with brick. It's very Americana. So, but it ends up coming along really, really nicely actually, and I end up really, really liking this building. Like it came out so well, like it really did its job, and I'm like really, really happy with how it turned out. So, but yeah, again with the buildings, right? When you're working like on a grid, so many people do like the off the grid stuff with like they do windows as walls, or I know that was mostly in the old game, not so much anymore. Or they just like use the off grid pieces and they scale them. I can't do that. I'm not that skilled. I'm also a little bit impatient. When I start building something, here's another big pause where I don't really know what I'm doing. But and that's why the video is going to be 30 minutes long. So, but like people can do that. People do these really awesome builds like that, but I'm someone who needs to see something finished. like right away. I am so impatient and I can't do that. Here I am toying around with some stuff to do up here, but I end up doing this really cool like American Dream logo, and actually I really like it. It's, you know, just a simple like 2 letters, you know, back to back, and I think it works out really well. But of course you can see I put the stars there. Same signage, same design language as like the American Midway food and beverage sign. So I end up using that quite a bit. Here I am kind of just using some wood pieces to trim off the edges. Nothing special here, but it ends up, you know, just looking, it adds that extra bit of flair to it, which I really like. And that's something that I've kind of realized in like the builds, is just like you have to, for like to some extent, you just have to go the extra mile, and that's what's going to make your builds look a little bit better. Just like these small details make it look so much more realistic, and they're these little details that no one is going to pay attention to. Like when I put this park on the workshop, no one is going to come to this building and go, wow, I really like these little wood pieces around here, but it makes it look so much better, and if they weren't there, the building would look ugly. So but yeah, here we are kind of just finishing up the restroom. I do some trim around the actual bathroom entryways. But this is our second restroom in the park now, so already at restroom number 2. Yay. And yeah, so then we're just going to kind of finish up trimming it, and then we're going to put some foliage around the building. So here I am kind of just putting in some rock work. Same style of rock work that we did over in the seating area at the beginning of the American Midway. But, oh, here's another pause. This is why the video is going to be 30 minutes. I'm so sorry, everyone. And then, yeah, here I am kind of just putting in some foliage, fooling around. Oh, this is where I start to play around with the idea of a roller coaster before I actually end up committing to one. So you'll see here in a minute, I kind of just put some more terrain. I do kind of toy around with the idea of maybe doing a log flume. But eventually I kind of just commit and end up putting in a roller coaster. And again, the roller coaster is built by Ollie 35 on the Steam Workshop. It is a amazing, there it is. It's an amazing recreation of the basic Arrow loop screw. Absolutely love it. It is awesome. So, and he built the whole station and everything too. Like the station looks exactly like the Steam and Demon station. Same thing with like the exit ramp and entrance ramp and stuff. It's meant to literally be Steam and Demon at Six Flags Great Escape. I do end up getting rid of the station, but I actually end up using the exit and entry ramp to some extent. I do obviously modify them a little bit. Here I am just kind of recoloring some of the pieces, and then this is going to be our color scheme, obviously red track with blue supports. Very patriotic. I think it looks really nice. Here I am kind of just editing some of the pathways again. Sorry. And yeah, so now we're going to get to work on actual, here I am checking the sight lines. But yeah, so here I am actually now getting to work on the actual coaster. So we're editing the station, obviously getting rid of the station, and then we're going to build a new one from scratch. I like the station that he built. I just wanted my own. I wanted to have my own flair to it, have my own design. But nothing wrong with that station. Plus, it's literally exactly like the one at Six Flags Great Escape for Steam and Demon, and I don't want that in the park. So I don't want the exact station of Steam and Demon. But here I am using his supports, using all his supports for the entry ramp and then also the exit ramp. And then we end up kind of just turning this whole thing into this big plaza, and it ends up looking so good. It looks amazing at the end of it. And so the idea with this coaster is that, you know, the park opened up in 1968. I'm not entirely sure when the first Arrow Looper came out, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't in the... It might have been in the 60s, but this park would have not opened up with an Arrow Looper. This park would have opened up with the wooden coaster in the back and maybe a smaller kids coaster that we'll probably build later on, and that's it. It would have not opened up with this, so this would have been probably like the first big addition to the park, and I like to think that's how it would be. And as you can see, the pathway, the actual like queue line, is very high off the ground. It's very up in the air. And we end up doing like a wooden station, by the way. And it's very high up in the air. And what I want to do, and I'm going to do the same exact thing with the wooden coaster, is to have this like high up concrete formed queue line with, you know, being supported by like these metal rods. And what would be underneath it would basically be an access road for maintenance workers or, you know, just park personnel. And it would there maybe be some like storage things down there. I'm thinking, sorry, oh my gosh, not I thinking. Man, you know, doing these recordings has got me saying all kinds of stuff, and but like basically we'd have like some storage stuff down there, so there would be maybe, I don't know, like some extra wood pieces or some maybe an extra ride car if I can figure out how to get a ride car down there. Maybe even like some supports, you know, who knows, you know, this coaster's pretty old, maybe they had to, you know, redo some of the supports, maybe some cans of paint, you know, if they're repainting, will just be down below the queue line. This is a kind of park that wouldn't necessarily try to hide that from guests. It wouldn't try to hide the fact that this is like a functioning theme park. There's, you know, obviously you have Universal and Disney and everything like that, you know, try to hide the fact that it's like a theme park. That this is like you know, that it's a place that requires people to run it, and, you know, not everything just happens by magic. So this park wouldn't care about that. This park would not care at all, actually, about that. So they would just have some, you know, random stuff, you know, some storage stuff out and about, you know, that you could literally see from the queue line, and, you know, they wouldn't care. So I like the idea of that. It's very, very cheap. It's very budget. And it's something that this park would do. Here I am. The terrain up here I thought was really flat, but I guess it wasn't, because I end up having to, you know, redo these sections like 3 times. So again, another reason why the time lapse is 30 minutes long. But yeah, this is kind of a whole plaza, and essentially this coaster would have been built here. And the American Midway would have came up here initially, but it would have probably went to another ride. We're probably going to have a tilt-a-whirl up here, I think. I think a tilt-a-whirl would have been nice. And maybe like a facility building up here. So maybe like a staff building, I think, would be good. And that's basically what would be up here. And then this area where the coaster is would have literally just been like extra space. Theoretically. And then, you know, later, a couple of years after the park opened, the park, you know, did pretty well, and then they decided, hey, like, you know, these looping coasters are doing pretty well, so let's get one of those. And they do, and then, you know, they have to put it in the American area, obviously, so they give it an American theme. We end up calling the coaster, actually, no, I'll build the sign first, and then you can figure out the name. I mean, actually, I don't know, is the sign in the thumbnail? I have no idea. Here I am using the chain link fence. If you go to Six Flags Great Escape, around their Arrow Looper, they just have a chain link fence, and honestly, it looks so boring and plain, and I friggin' love it. And here, I love the chain link fence in the game. It's a little thin. The old chain link fence was extremely thick. It was very, very thick in Planet Coaster 1, and you could see it from literally miles away. But here, it kind of disappears when you zoom out. So that's, you know, that's a bit of a downside. But I did the chain link fence on the outside, and here I am making a custom fence for the inside portion. That's going to be, you know, next to the pathways and everything. And I think this fence actually kind of looks pretty good. I made it out of wood, but, you know, when you're zoomed out, you can't tell if that's wood or metal. It all looks the same. And I think it honestly looks really, really good. And I'm kind of just making this big danger zone here, you know, and I think the fence looks really, really nice. So, and then of course I realize it goes through the track, so I have to edit that. But I think it looks really, really good, and I'm pretty proud of how this fence actually turned out. It's a very, very generic fence, you know, but it's a bit more elegant, if that makes sense. It's not like a chain link fence that they would just have on the inside of the park, you know. They're at least caring about the appearance just a little bit. But you'll see that, you know, after this coaster was put in, it has been a little bit neglected. Not much, but you'll see that the queue line, I try to make it seem pretty overgrown. Same thing with like the flowers and the flower beds around the attraction. I tried to make it seem a little bit more overgrown. And this queue line, you know, I'm looking at it, and this would just be like this would be an awful queue line. Like this, you know, if you had to wait in this, it would be awful. The sun would be beaming on you. It would be awful. But that's kind of what it's meant to be. It's not meant to have cover to it. It's not meant to be this fancy thing. Like, this is and hope, by the way, here I am making the access road, and they end up actually like connecting it to American Thunder, the wooden coaster. So, and then here I am making the sign for, okay, well, the first two letters. It's going to be called Liberty Looper, or the Liberty Looper, and I think that's actually pretty nice. Don't mind me almost misspelling Liberty. I'm like so self-conscious of my spelling, by the way, like, and I know I'm like recorded, and although my videos get like 30 views, I'm not, which is fine. I'm still like, scared someone in the comments is gonna be like, is gonna just be like, oh, you misspelled Liberty. Like, that would be where I call it quits. So, but yeah, the Liberty Looper, and it ends up coming out really nice. Right now it looks pretty basic, but we end up kind of just trying to make it more funky, and that's kind of like what I've realized with signage in this game, is you just kind of try to make it feel different. It can't just be a square sign, it can't just be a rectangle, it has to be, more unique. And honestly, it looks really, really good. I'm really happy with how it came out. So, and then I kind of just put these stripes down the side, and I think that sign looks amazing. We put it in a flower bed, and then we end up doing all the flowers and the foliage, and it just, oh my gosh, it turns out absolutely fantastic. It looks amazing. I'm so happy with how like the whole ride plaza and everything turned out. And of course, you'll see more, I guess, details in the real-time portion, but man, it just looks amazing. And this is kind of like the cap off to the American Midway. Like, we'll do one more ride up here, but that's pretty much the entirety of the American Midway. And yeah, so I'm pretty happy with how this whole thing turned out. It looks fantastic. And here I am kind of just putting in some more like overgrown bushes and stuff inside the main area. As you can tell, there's like a grassy area, and then there's like a gravelly area on one side. It's just, to kind of separate it a little bit. If you go to Great Escape, like, there's literally nothing in Steam and Demon's Danger Zone. There's no foliage, no nothing. It is straight up just grass. And I just didn't want grass here. I wanted, something different. So I gave it kind of like more of like a plain look with the gravel. And I think it looks really, really nice. So, but yeah, this is kind of wrapping up the portion. I'm just finishing up my custom station. And yeah, so we're going to be heading into the real-time portion soon. I'm just doing some extra fencing around here. I end up making this just a small seating area, and then I end up doing some more foliage, kind of finishing that up. I do end up missing one spot of foliage, which I will show you. But here I am kind of just putting in these older picnic tables, like old wooden picnic tables, like the picnic tables were just kind of sitting around, and they were said, just put them up there, who cares. So that's where they are. Here I am just kind of finishing up the area with some trash cans, and then I end up doing some benches, and then that is going to essentially be it, and I will see you in the real-time portion. So here we are in the real-time portion, and wow, look at this. It's freaking awesome, the American Midway. So right now we're to the right of the carousel. There's the sign, American Midway. Village is, of course, behind us, and yeah, here we are. It is awesome. I'm really, really excited to show more details. Here's our coffee shop we built in the last episode. And of course we have these big flag poles on the side. There's the star wheel. I added some more foliage down there. It looks very, very nice. It looks heavily wooded. And then this swing ride came out so nice. Here it is testing. It looks amazing. I'm not the biggest fan of the gears in the middle, but you know what? It's whatever. It looks fine. I think it's okay. It's not that bad. But man, that swing ride looks amazing up on the hill. It looks fantastic with the big retaining wall. And then of course here's our American Midway food and beverage. I think the whole building looks amazing. I do have to add some windows up top. I've realized it's a little bare. But I do think it gets the point across of like this big dining hall. It looks awesome. I might do some more signage inside, for the individual food shops and everything. But the idea is that it's one big kitchen back there, and it just looks amazing. So, and I love the sign. It came out so nice. But of course we have the coaster behind it, and that looks awesome as well. When you're coming down the American Midway, you just have the coaster there and it looks awesome. Here is our bathroom that came out super, super nice. Of course we have the AD up top. This is the section that I forgot to actually put some foliage there, which really sucks. But we have the AD up top that looks really nice for American Dream. And then of course our restroom sign, and it just turned out so amazing. The whole building looks fantastic. And then of course to our left, we have the swing ride called the Swings. It looks beautiful among the trees and everything. I freaking love it. The sign looks so like old and, you know, oh god, it looks amazing. And yeah, so then here's the queue line. We have the chains in the middle, which I don't like because they just can't go small enough, but I'm keeping them because I'm too lazy to take them out. And wow, the swing ride just looks awesome. One of the flagpoles, because I edited the pathway, is kind of just out there. Ignore that. But here we are into pretty much the end of the American Midway. Of course, to the left, we'll add one more ride, and then we'll call it quits over here. But man, look at this view of the coaster. It looks awesome. Seriously, it is fantastic how good this ride looks. Of course, the Liberty Looper, that sign looks awesome with the loop behind it. Oh my gosh. Wow. It's such a classic aero coaster. Again, thank you so much for building this Ollie 35 and putting it on the workshop. Very lucky to be able to have, you know, just a simple coaster like this. I wouldn't have not been able to make a recreation this good. But yeah, let's go in the queue line. As you can see, the queue line is like pretty bare. It's meant to look a little bit overgrown, like it's not being taken care of that much. And then as you can see, we have this big concrete ramp. And then you'll see down below here, like this is where they would have like some stuff being stored, maybe an extra ride car, some extra pieces. Oh, hello there. And yeah, like it would be pretty much out in the open, like a big backstage area just out in the open. And I like the idea of that. Look at that lift hill, wow. Man, and then you come into the station. Ride car is nice and blue and red, matching the color scheme. We have our lights up here. Look at that brake run. Look at that janky turn into the brake run. Wow. Aerodynamics. Gotta love it. And yeah, so here we are going back. But yeah, so again, basically you have this big access road underneath, and I'll work on that more in the future. Obviously, I didn't do that this episode, but yeah. And there's where the access road leads to the American Thunder and the Sky Ride that we put in, which is up on top of the hill. So I'm going to have to somehow get up there. But yeah, come back out the queue line again. It's just meant to look very, very bare. But yeah, that's pretty much the entirety of the video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Seriously, this was definitely much of a longer video than usual. Next video is going to be a little bit shorter, which I think is awesome. So we're going to be doing some more storybook style builds, which I think will be pretty cool because it's inspired by The Great Escape. But yeah, that is pretty much everything. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Any of that helps out the channel. And I will see you guys next time in the next video of this series or whatever I post next. Bye-bye.